The views expressed on this Turnbuckle Tabloid live stream or Turnbuckle Tabloid podcast episode do not reflect the views, thoughts, or opinions of the Rageworks brand, including the Rageworks podcast network, Rageworks content partners, advertisers, and affiliates. Viewer and listener discretion is advised.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. The listener. In case you haven't heard, because I've been basically saying it for the past few weeks, we just started a new network. Yeah, New York Wrestle Media. It's a whole virtual experience visually for all those connected in the world of wrestling, pop culture, live stream video games. Oh, it's happening. And it's not only me doing it. Yeah. Got a few cohorts who jumped in the mix. Covering subject matters as history, indie wrestling, news of the day, pop culture, and like I mentioned, video games. I know, me too. I'm excited. Make sure you check us out on YouTube, Twitch, and on TikTok for New York Wrestle Media. Follow, subscribe, like, be a part of the vibe of all things connected with New York Wrestle Media.
Hey guys, what's up? This is Michael Kingston, creator of Headlocked, and you are listening to Turnbuckle Tabloid.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
It's Wrestling Rundown with It's Wrestling Rundown with Jay Santy.
Live from New York, it's
Turnbuckle Tabloid.
Another week of wrestling in the books. We got new stories for you guys and much to talk about on this week's edition of Wrestling Rundown. How are you guys? How's been your week? It's been a very newsworthy week, I must say. After AEW's Revolution, make sure you check us out on YouTube for our recap episode. Also, be able to check out all things popping on all the social media outlets, as well as all the podcasting outlets for Turnbuckle Tabloid. And as always, make sure you check out the fam at New York Wrestle Media. Much going down over there. Third announcers table, wrestling history and headlocks, and as well as I'm going to be bringing out some new episodes of Press Save with Santy when we're looking at WWE 2K25 and much more. So give us a like, subscribe, be a part of the vibe over there, show some love to the fam and such, and more content coming to you guys later on down the line. We're approaching 8 years on Turnbuckle Tabloid. 8 years. And that's just on the program alone. That's just this show alone. Turnbuckle Tabloid has been a staple in a name for more years than that, but I'll get to that in a future episode and discuss that and much more. And it's been one hell of a ride, guys. Not only are we approaching episode 8 years, but we're also approaching episode 500. So be on the lookout for that. I got some stuff going down for that. And it's going to be a jam-packed episode, and I would love for you guys to be a part of that as well. So it's going to be fun, guaranteed. So as always, I am the Norm McDonald of this segment, and this is Wrestling Rundown's weekend update. So last week I discussed on the on the last edition of Wrestling Rundown that Carmella and WWE had parted ways, and I had thought that things were on the up and up, that things were applicable and stuff like that. I thought people were in unison in believing that both parties were in a good place, but apparently not. Apparently, Carmella has made a statement saying that she feels as though that WWE punished her for being pregnant. Don't know the ins and outs of it. I can't tell you whether I don't know, because I work there. I don't work there. I don't have a gig there, so I wouldn't know. But it just seems bad business when a company would penalize their, I guess, staff for being pregnant. This has been a common practice now these days for a while now, especially with the female wrestlers. I don't think male wrestlers, men now they probably do. I think now men will get paternity leave, but as for the female wrestlers, I don't know what they never really explain what the practice is when it comes to paternity leave, maternity leave. So that would be interesting to look up to see what is their bylaws or their policies about that. Another thing is that I'm just hoping that she doesn't shake the trees too much. She doesn't rattle too many individuals, because remember, your husband is still on payroll. So, and he's already been on his own island at some time dealing with his own issues within the company. So, unless you two are ready to make the big leap away from the company, more power to you. Shawn Spears wins the North American title. Not only that, he also brings up a new faction that's shocking the NXT world. We just saw them basically. Well, they debuted, but now the calling is becoming a new threat to NXT. So that's going to be interesting. Shawn Spears winning his North American title. The funny part was when Shawn Michaels went to shake his hand backstage, he looked at him and he just shrugged him off and just walked off. And it's basically a callback to when, remember when Shawn super kicked you? Yeah, he remembers. So congratulations for Shawn Spears winning his first title in NXT. I thought this was interesting. Acclaim. Remember, for you gamers out there, remember the development company Acclaim? They were responsible for a few wrestling video games back in the days, and other games of sports and action. As a matter of fact, if I'm not mistaken, Acclaim was behind NBA Jam. So I know everybody remembers that one. But apparently Acclaim is on the comeback. They were out of business for some time, and with a few investors, they are now have been reported to make a comeback. And apparently one of the individuals as part of the partnership that's spearheading this is Jeff Jarrett. That's big. That's a big move right there. So I'll be interested to see how that's going to play out, especially how much I enjoyed Acclaim games back in the days. So yeah, man, that's gonna be fun. Where are we? Oh, there we go. Next up, this past week, AEW and PPV, AEW's PPV Revolution was streamed on the first time for Amazon Prime, but people felt as though they were ripped off because if they had Prime, why are we paying for it? They actually had to pay for the pay-per-view. I get it. Can't get everything, right? Yeah. But apparently, the streaming site was much better than others prior, as in Bleacher Report. Thriller does a fairly decent job with their streaming, but yeah, Amazon Prime has AEW's pay-per-views now. I guess we thought that we were going to get some kind of love with the Prime subscription, and we didn't. Or maybe if they would have streamed it on Max, but I guess it's still a work in progress because a work in process because the company is still in dire straits trying to get their funding and money wise together. Because listen, 5 years in, you're still a new company, so you still gotta build the brand and still gotta make some money off the top. It's not as easy as WWE playing their pay-per-views on Peacock. It's not that that you have that reliability of knowing that streaming site, that Peacock, will support that. But you got to take what you get, right? Brian Knobs, unfortunately, it looks as though that he is going through it. He may be needing a surgery, which will be a foot amputations. Our blessings go out to him, and hopefully all goes well with one half of the Nasty Boys. So apparently Ava Raine, the Nepo kid. Come on, you was thinking it too. Stop lying. You were thinking it too. Apparently Ava Raine, who is the daughter of Dwayne Johnson, also known as the Final Boss, also known as The Rock, is giving a new GM role on Evolve. So she'll be doing dual roles on NXT and on Evolve. Evolve, a new show that's on Tubi. I've yet to catch it yet. I should check it out. But now she's been given the responsibility of being the head, quote unquote, of said promotion. So we'll see how that plays out, right? So this is unfortunate, and I hate to read stories like this because sometimes people are just so stupid, and there's no need to go this far, especially when it comes to the world that we love and the idiots that are out there who take certain things way too far. Pat McAfee just he commented on the fact that he was being cyber stalked by I wouldn't even say they were fans, because anyone that's a real fan wouldn't do anything like this. Cyber stalked by bullies about his comments he made about Canada during the Elimination Chamber. Look, I get it. You guys love your country and such, but to cyber stalk and bully the guy and his child, come on, this is ridiculous, dude. Like, the fact that you would sit there and take the time to use your thumbs and your fingers to type out threats to an individual about a wrestling angle or promo, it's just utterly ridiculous. Guys really need to grow up, or you really need to get on your medication. Something. Get diagnosed, bro. Something. WWE Evolution is returning in July. If you guys don't remember, WWE Evolution was an all-women's pay-per-view. Some may say the last one was okay. I don't remember it being as successful as they are touting it. Is this the word, touting? They're touting it from the last call. But apparently this is going to be a bigger and larger scale of the pay-per-view. The last one, remember, we had Rhea Ripley versus Dakota Kai, Trish and Lita facing Mickie James and Alicia Fox. And what was it? For the Raw Women's Championship, we had Ronda Rousey versus Nikki Bella for the Women's Championship. I mean, damn, I just looked at this one. Becky and Charlotte went 30 minutes for the last women's standing match. Wow, they had some matches on here. Okay. Yeah, they had a card here. So Toni Storm defeated Io Shirai for the 2018 Mae Young Classic. Wow, it's been that long? 7 years? Wow. Okay. So it looks like they're looking at July to return the Evolution. And with all the women that they have on the card now, they should really be able to stack this one up and make something a go for it. So I'm actually looking forward to this. I have a good feeling that this is going to have a better run than the last pay-per-view. But looking at that card, I might have to look back into that. That card looked actually really good. Next up, it hasn't been yet announced, but it seems as though the natural disasters are being inducted to the Hall of Fame. I have yet to hear this. I mean, I see it fully being announced. But apparently Tugboat and Earthquake, or Typhoon and Earthquake, as they were formerly known as. Remember, it used to be Tugboat. Oh, Tugboat. Who was the friend of Hogan at the time. And we got stories about Hogan in a minute. But yeah, apparently it is said that they will be inducted. It hasn't yet to be announced, but that's a good induction nominee so far. And speaking of inductions, we also have Lex Luger finally getting into the Hall of Fame. I know people have mixed views about this, but let's be honest, the guy had a tremendous career in wrestling from WCW, and in his short stint in WWE, came in as the narcissist of WWE and then became Mr. Lex Luger with the Lex Express. He was toting the American flag and duty once Hogan left. He was celebrated for winning by countout by beating Yokozuna. That was just still the funniest fucking moment in WWE history for me. And there's no mistaking that the man took his career, took his matches to next levels. Especially, listen, how many of us took our cousins or our siblings and placed them on the torture rack? I mean, let's be honest here. We had to put them on. You don't want that's to be the shit we used to say on the block. You'd be like, you don't want the rack. You don't want to get up on the rack and pick them up and put them in the torture rack. So congratulations to not only natural disasters, but also for Lex Luger for making it in to this year's class of Hall of Fame. And stick with the Hall of Fame. Apparently this year they're not doing it at the venue in which SmackDown will be. Past couple of years they've been doing the Hall of Fame after SmackDown and then transitioning the ring, and then you catch it on Peacock, and then you'll get all the people in attendance for SmackDown will be a part of the Hall of Fame ceremony. But apparently not. Apparently this year they're moving the venue to a smaller auditorium, and many fans are not happy about this. It seems as though that they're just saying that WWE is squeezing every dollar that they can for everything that they go to. This is part of a package deal. What can I tell you? This is what it is. You're in Vegas now. You gotta live for every moment when you're in Vegas, right? And pay for everything that's going on out there. This is people believe this is another way of like gouging and squeezing the fan for every buck. But if you guys keep buying it and paying for it, they're gonna fucking take advantage of it. Let's be honest here, people. If you stop buying it, maybe they'll lower the price. Just say. I love it. Everybody talks about how bad the economy is, but yet they're paying fucking $300. We were going to go to Raw at MSG. The upper deck seats were at $300. Fuck off. I'm trying to get tickets to airplane tickets to Puerto Rico. And even those prices aren't as crazy as a ticket to Raw. That is insane. Mind you, in Philly, we were going to go to Philly as well for a SmackDown. Wasn't that bad. It was pretty decent. But for the Garden, fuck off. There goes my rant. Okay, so congratulations to Riddick Moss and Emma, who became proud parents this past week. Yeah, enjoy these precious moments now because it goes fast, my peoples. Congratulations to the bride and groom. Well, they're married, but you know what I mean. But yeah, it's believe me, it's a great ride, guys. Enjoy every moment of it. Unless you gave birth to demon spawn or some shit like that. Damien. Spoke about it earlier. I spoke about this earlier on the episode of Cutting a Promo on YouTube with Ariana and Mike. Make sure you check us out there. Looking at a AEW Revolutions recap. But apparently the actress who was in Queen of the Ring exposed the wrestling industry in an interview she had during the pay-per-view. Listen, if you guys didn't want it to be said, you should have wised her up about it. Apparently it coincides with her character. Her character makes a mention of saying, I know I'm a win every time I step into that ring before it happens, because that was her way of that was her confidence. And saying, that was her way of cutting a promo and such. But it didn't translate well with the audience. Once again, if you guys did not want her to do that, then you should have wised her up to the business. You should have put her on to the fact that, yeah, we don't release shoot shit like that. Are we shocked? No, we're not shocked. Is the era of mystique about how the matches are played out? Do we all believe that matches are real? No, we don't. We do know they're predetermined. I get it. There's still people that want to feel that there's that aura that should be there. And hell, a little bit of me feels the same way. I believe that aura should still be there. I just recently learned that Jey Uso found out that he was winning the Royal Rumble the day of, when they were calling. Apparently they call all the wrestlers that's in the Royal Rumble into a room. They map out, they discuss what's going to happen. Bang, 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 who's going to get hit, who's going to run. And then with the final four, they leave the final four in the room, discuss how it's going to play out, and they tell them, we're going with such and such this year for Mania. And Jay got the call. Oh, shit, play that music. So, yeah, it sounds cool. Right? It just sounds cool when you hear that. But, sometimes you still want that air of mystery. But we all know. It's like she didn't reveal anything that we didn't know. I had explained it on the show as if someone knows a magic trick and they're like, yeah, I know how they were able to pull that card out of their sleeve. They have a contraption in their wrist, and all of a sudden it'll flip out, and there's a double card in there. And they're like, all right, shut up. You know everything. God, let me just enjoy the trick. Shut the fuck up. But that's exactly for me how it played out. It's like you learned something new, and now you want to tell everybody that you're an insider now. It's all right. Whatever. Apparently Lana and Miro have renewed their vows. Yeah. With all the said gossip that was going on about these two and the separation and such, it seems as though these two have found each other again. And Money over love anytime. I'm sorry. This got to be a good business arrangement. It has to. Marriage is a business arrangement. It is. It's all it is. You could be with somebody and just love them and live all their lives. You don't have to marry them. This is my opinion, guys. I mean, I know there's people here who are married and, you know, they believe in the sanctity of marriage and, but, you know, deem, you know, what your religion is such like that, blah, blah, blah. Get it, whatever, you know, but at the end of the day, it's a document. It's just as, it's like life insurance. It's like getting into a business deal is the same thing. And, with these two, with the possibility and the talk of them returning back to WWE, yeah, this is a really good business deal. And you know what? Between me and you, I ain't mad at it. Get your bread, y'all. Get it. It's been said that Swerve Strickland has been signed through 2029 with AEW. Congratulations to him. Get that money. That's good. Listen, he felt slighted and burned in WWE, which I understand. I totally get it. It's horrible that, you know, they didn't use him properly, especially when he was a dude on such a come up. I know this is one dude that Triple H is like, damn you, Vince. He wish he'd have kept him. He would have made him a superstar. You know, right now, I know he's working his kinks trying to figure out who's the next black wrestling superstar there. We're looking at Carmelo, we're looking at Trick, you know, but when you had Swerve in your hands right there, it's just like, come on. That's just ridiculous. And I'm hoping that Triple H fought tooth and nail to try to keep him, and, you know, Vince is like, no, pal, we got to let him go. Whatever. But congratulations to him. And he says he's happy. He doesn't seem like he'll be going anywhere else from here on out. But yeah, that's cool. Which, by the way, Seth Rollins and Roman has said that they feel the same way today. They don't plan on going anywhere else either. They're going to stick to WWE until their careers is over. So we'll see what happens. Money talks. Speaking of money talks, did anybody hear the story about Hogan at a signing for his shitty ass beer? So apparently, upstate New York, Hulk Hogan was to have a meet and greet at a local supermarket and such, promoting his Real American beer. And it seems as though that he had about 250 people there lined up for autographs and such and photo sessions. Which, by the way, 250 seems a little bit light to me. I know, I get it. Hogan is not everybody's era at this time. You know, now the fan base is moving a little bit more, but still 250 is for Hogan. I think Bret Hart will probably still get 500 people. I mean, let's be for real. I think Bret could still get some. But in any case, Hogan was out there, and people were online. They were all stacked up and go. And when they got to about the 200th person, he called it off and said, all right, he's done. And he left and didn't finish. 50 people. Yeah, 50 more people to go. 50. Apparently children were crying. People were upset. And he's getting a big backlash for it now. This is why he doesn't have the greatest of reputations these days. Excluding his political beliefs and his support, he just has been rubbing people the wrong way with, I don't know, his racism and his treatment of fans and such. So not really surprised about this. And of course, Hogan will make an excuse for this. Well, you know, brother, I was sitting in that chair for way too long, and I really needed to go, and it just seemed about the right time, and no one told me that there was still people online to get a meet and greet with the Hulkster. But let me tell you something, Daddy. Bullshit. I'm assuming that he really thought that the 250 was light for him, and it kind of was a bug up his ass. He was like, fuck y'all, I'm out. He thought people were going to come from far and wide to see him, but that didn't happen. So I'm gonna bring back heel of the week, but for this week, you are my heel of the week. Fuck you, Hogan. This is funny because I had thought about this some time ago and never thought that this would happen. I just thought it would be something goofy to fucking do. We've always heard the tagline, "The Road to WrestleMania." But I always thought, I was like, yo, wouldn't it be funny that they would have a roast of WrestleMania, that after Mania, that you get comedians and other wrestlers who are good at it that could come and crack jokes about Mania and wrestling themselves and all that stuff, and they're cool. Sounds stupid, right? It sounds real dumb and just hacky kind of shit, but apparently this might be happening. Honestly, apparently WWE is in discussions internally to believe that, that they can and will do a roast of WrestleMania the night after the night of WrestleMania after it's done. There are talks to bring in comedian Kill Tony, you know him, Mr. The Puerto Rico's trash guy, you know that guy, right? Him. So apparently he may be the host of this show. So we'll see. That so hacky, but I have to say that I would probably be interested in watching this. This would be something interesting. That is gonna bomb so bad. It's gonna be shit. Apparently internally in the internal roster, they have rumors that Jeff Cobb is in WWE. Interesting. Always thought Jeff Cobb was a talented individual, and his look, his physique, and his agility actually transitioned as well into WWE. So I don't know. This could be an interesting look. I will be very intrigued to see if this occurs and if they pull the trigger on him. Wow, that was kind of loud. Shit, didn't hear that one coming. So I just wanted to give my thoughts about what occurred this past week on NXT's Roadblock. So that Tuesday, I was at the bar, just chilling, having a couple of brewskis, and one of the bartenders, knowing that I'm a big wrestling fan, pretty much everybody in there knows I'm a big wrestling fan, just put the channel to NXT, and I was like, oh shit, I forgot this was on. I forgot that NXT was on today, and I began to mind you, I'm sitting there by myself watching this, and all the patrons are, doing their own thing, or they're just casually looking at what's going on. And I began to watch this episode of NXT. And when I tell you, this was probably, if not the best episode of NXT I've ever seen in my life. There was just something about this show that clicked on all cylinders for me. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was alcohol. I don't know. I don't know. But I don't think so. For me, everything hit at once when I was like, wow, this is actually a full show that didn't have to do anything too out of the ordinary. We didn't have to see too many outlandish stuff. And we saw wrestling, and we saw good wrestling. Everything from, the Hardys returning, going up against Faxium. The Jordan Grayson and Roxanne Perez match was fantastic. Moose and Oba was insane. I thought this was a great match of big men who knew how to work and was able to help put each other over at the same time. It was just a wrestling announcer would say, a slobber knocker. But it was a fantastic match. I even enjoyed Javon Evans and Ethan Page in a New York street fight. I was a huge fan of how they put that together. But lastly, the Stephanie Vacour and Julia match for the NXT Women's Championship was chef's kiss. Mwah. Was beautiful, beautifully done, beautifully executed. I just thought that on this night, everything clicked. Everything was hitting on all cylinders, and I was pleased to say that I was. And thank you to Phil, my bartender, who actually put this on because I forgot that it was on, and I was able to. And I sat and I watched the whole shebang until it was done. I tipped him very well, and I was out the door. But and thank you to NXT. That was in New York as well. It was the night after Raw and MSG, and they had a great show. So if you guys haven't watched it, get it. Find a way. Go to the CW app or whatever the kids watch the match. Watch the show. It was a very, very good show. And like I said, it's probably, if not one of the best, it was the best NXT shows, not pay-per-views, but shows that I have seen in quite a while. So that's going to wrap us up here on Wrestling Rundown. Going to make sure we put a links to make sure you guys check us out on all the socials. Make sure you check us out on all the websites. Go to our YouTube page, like and subscribe. Be a part of the vibe there as well, and show us some love there. And speaking of showing love, I want to show some love to Dr. Jeremy Michael Housewright, who is he's an author of many literary books, but also he's going to his second series of books dealing with the love of wrestling that we as fans could connect with. Dr. Housewright has put together a book called For the Love of the Show, and now his sequel book, For the Love of the Show Part 2. More stories from wrestling fans will be coming out in May as well. So this will be a great read for you guys if you're a wrestling fan, and it's just it tugs at the heartstrings to know that there's people out there who are still showing appreciation and love, not only for wrestling but through the eyes of the wrestling fan. So have a sit down and enjoy our conversation with Dr. Jeremy Housewright. So as always, guys, don't go anywhere. Stick around. Much to talk about, and check you guys in a sec.
This is your girl's favorite referee, Angel Cruz. And when I'm listening to my podcast, I need a podcast that's going to call it just like I call my matches. Right down the middle, take no sides. That's why I like to listen to Turnbuckle Tabloid with Jay Santee.
My favorite thing about being a podcaster, especially when it comes to wrestling, is the fact that I could actually have conversations with individuals that are, I could say, on the same level of intensity when it comes to their wrestling fandom. You know, it's always great to sit there and talk to people who are in the business, those who have been in the ring, outside the ring and such, but it's always great to have a conversation with someone who, just like me, is a fan. And that individual today is Jeremy Michael Housewright, an author extraordinaire, to checking in. How are we, sir?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Oh man, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. Don't you think? This is one of those, I guess the renaissance is returning again for wrestling fans.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It's such a meshing of so many emotions that are going through with the wrestling fans that are the hardcores, even the casuals and such. How long has it been since you felt this good about wrestling? Like, when was the last time that you had that feeling about wrestling?
That's a great question. I'd say probably the Attitude Era. And looking back at it now, I don't feel good about that era. So, this is kind of a new one for me. The era that we're in. I've been a fan since I was 6-7 years old. I'm 43. So, there's always been something that's kept me interested in one way or another throughout the years. But there have also been a lot of lean years. And it seems like the last 4, maybe even 5 years, it's just been nonstop, clicking for everything. So it's a good time.
What's, you mentioned the Attitude Era. There's many times that I speak to casuals or even the hardcores, and they talk about how that was the quintessential time for wrestling, not only because of what was going on screen, but we also had the war that was going on with WCW, WWEF at the time, and even the new promotion that was creeping through and catching some fandom, which was ECW as well. What was it that was really the draw for you that had you focused on wrestling at that time?
I would say it was Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. Those two guys, to me, are the epitome of what superstars are trying to be today. They just had a different vibe about them than anybody else. And, you mentioned WCW. I was always a WWE, WWF fan. I did watch WCW. I was one of those guys that would kind of flip-flop on Monday nights when we would go to a commercial. I would try to switch over. It got to the point where I actually hooked up a VCR. I'm sure some of your viewers probably don't even know what the hell that is.
What? A VCR? What's that?
I'd hook up a VCR in my bedroom and I'd record, one show and watch the other one live. And then after the other one ended, I would go straight to the tape and watch the other one. So that's how I did it. But yeah, Austin and Rock were my guys. I just think that the persona that each of them had, it was bigger than the business. And you knew that they were special, just watching them. So, and of course I knew of Austin before that. So I knew the struggle he had coming up, and all the different characters, the Ringmaster and Stunning Steve. So I knew what he had went through. And even with The Rock, I knew Rocky Maivia, and I knew of his father. And so they were both my guys. And of course, DX, that was another thing that drew me. I was a high school kid, so of course playing football, you tackle somebody, you get up and you give the suck it sign, get flagged. I swear to God it happened. But then, but that's just what we did in high school. So yeah, it was a great time for teenagers.
Yeah, I know a lot of kids that got in trouble during that. There's a lot of detentions that was going on during that time. When you look back now, and I'm in the same with you when it came to who I thought were the quintessentials of the business at that time. You had the Rocks, the Stone Colds, and when I flip on the other side, you look at what NWO did for WCW and such. Right. But as I'm leading to, which I'm seeing what your book here is about, I really believe the essence of that era was the fans. The fans were, they were very important and key to bringing back an industry that was almost dying at one point. Vince was almost ready to, call it quits during the trial. WCW was on its last legs before they made a big move with Ted Turner and such. We didn't see that Hulkamania look for a while, right? Until we had this going on, and the fans really brought that to light. With your experience as a fan growing up, how key was it to have like your own clique to be a part of growing up, to have these this association with this keep it quiet cult known as being a wrestling fan?
Oh man, that was my biggest struggle, I think, as a young guy. Was wrestling just wasn't ever considered cool, and of course being in high school, you wanted to fit in, you wanted to be cool, and it was tough to kind of go against the grain. But with DX and with Austin, you could wear those t-shirts out and people wouldn't look at you like, what is this guy wearing? So I had certain friends that watched it, and we would get together and watch pay-per-views. It was a group that maybe I didn't necessarily hang out with at school all the time because I was, playing football or whatever else it may have been, yearbook or whatever I was involved in at the time. So a lot of my wrestling friends weren't involved with other stuff. So that was kind of my group away from school that I would hang out with on occasion just to watch wrestling. And it's different today, though. It is. It's different because it's not uncool to watch wrestling. It's not uncool to be a fan. I mean, you go outside in public, and I guarantee you're going to see somebody wearing a Cody shirt, somebody wearing a whoever, a Rock shirt still. People still wear the DX shirts and the Austin shirts. So it's not uncool anymore. And I think that's a great thing because I can remember being a young wrestling fan, and I'm like, I can't talk about this at school because the kids are going to think I'm goofy. So, it's cool though that it's more accepted today. And I think that's great. I see a lot of, I'm an educator, so I see a lot of students walking around with wrestling stuff, and they think it's really cool when they know I'm into wrestling because I make sure they know that the first day of school that I'm into wrestling. I brought championship belts into the classroom and so forth. So they know I love it, and they know I wrote the first book and I'm finishing up the second one. So every once in a while I'll get some kids to come in and talk wrestling. That's a cool thing.
Yeah, I'm where I work at, it's kind of similar to that, and I have an environment where I'll walk around wearing my American Nightmare shirt, or I'll have on my Kevin Owens shirt, and my clients, they'll see and go, "Oh, you're a fan? Did you watch Raw yesterday?" And it's like, it's like, oh, okay, and a secret society thing, but now, like you said, it's not so secret anymore. A lot of people are more open to say we don't get the it's fake, right? Thing. We don't get that anymore. I'm like, yeah, because the MCU is real. Like, yeah, we actually defeated Thanos and saved the world. Right. That's exactly what occurred. Right. That's what happened. Yeah. You said you became a fan early on in your youth. Who was it who introduced you to wrestling as a young man?
So when I was a little kid, my grandfather started doing a lot of things with me. I was the firstborn grandchild, so I was his favorite. And he fully told people that I was his favorite. He didn't care, which to this day, family members still don't like me because of it. And he's been gone for 6 years now, unfortunately.
The bitterness is still there.
Oh man, trust me, it's unreal. Like, people are so petty with their crap. But he took me to my first show when I was 7 years old. I still have the ticket stubs to this day. It was a house show over at the St. Louis Arena, which is no longer standing. They called it the Checker Dome. And we would go on Friday nights. Usually every 4 or 5 months, WWF would roll through town. And I loved Hogan. Hogan was my guy. And so my grandpa would get us cheap seats up at the top, and we would just sit there and laugh. And back then, I thought it was completely legit.
Right.
And I can remember they let me stay up late one night to watch Saturday night's main event because it used to be on late.
Oh, yeah.
In place of Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an episode where Hogan got destroyed by King Kong Bundy in a blue steel cage.
I remember that, yeah.
And I can remember as soon as it went off air, it's like almost midnight at that point. I call my grandpa crying, saying that Hulk Hogan just got killed on TV. So, he never let me in on that it was scripted. It wasn't until I turned probably 11 or 12 that there was actually a TV special that was aired, and I saw it. And was
it with the masked guy?
Yes.
You bastard! You ruined it.
I was heartbroken, man. And then after that, I stopped watching for a while because I'm like, oh, this isn't for me anymore, And really, that's back when the WWF had really no star power. They had Bret Hart, who I was never a big fan of as a wrestler, and Hogan had left. So there was just nothing for me there that interested me.
Wasn't a Shawn guy? Wasn't a Shawn Michaels guy?
When I got older, I was.
Oh, okay.
But at the time, he was in the Rockers still, and I'm like, I liked the Rockers, but once they broke up, I'm like, well, that's over with, So, there was a little period where I kind of strayed away and just stopped watching for a while. I mean, I still followed it occasionally. WrestleMania season, when it came around, I would always either get the pay-per-view or back then I'd wait till the video cassette came out. And I'd remember I'd ride my bike up to the movie store here in town Saturday morning at 8 a.m. and I'd be waiting for the clerk to come open the door, and I'd grab that WrestleMania 3 tape or WrestleMania 4 and take it home, and I'd watch it all weekend.
Yeah, I remember my days too, growing up in Brooklyn. There was a guy around the corner from where I lived at the video rental store. We didn't have cable or anything like that, but the next day he always would have it, and he was always watching it. So immediately, right after school, running from school, my book bag on, I would look through the glass and watch it while he's watching it. No audio, no sound, and just watch it until finally he tells me, he's like, come in. And I sat and I was able to watch it. And it's like I said, it's just a crazy thing because, people don't really understand the connection as wrestling fans that we have. It's right. I get it as with sports. I mentioned before the mics went on, you're a Notre Dame fan. I'm not going to hold it against you. Fine. I'm a Michigan guy. I'm a Wolverine fan. It's all right. But even then, that feeling, that connection and the fandom is great, but there's something different about wrestling fans. What did you find when you were writing the book? What was it that really was interesting when you would discuss stuff with wrestling fans?
So one of the people that I interviewed in the book, his name's Maz Adams. He is an artist for WWE Shop.
Wow.
And he summed it up perfectly. He said, he's a big Yankees fan, big sports guy. And he said, Super Bowls, World Series don't compare to a WrestleMania. And it's because the fans have a camaraderie that you don't have in sports. If I were at a Michigan Notre Dame game, I'd probably be taking my life into my own hands, walking into the big house. Exactly. I've been there. I know, same with being a Chiefs fan. If I would walk into a Raiders game, which that was kind of funny that I was in Vegas for Double or Nothing a few years ago when Punk won the title from Hangman. And I'm getting ready to go in the arena, and I look to my right, and there's about 12 drunken Raider fans. And I have 4 different Chiefs tattoos, and I got one right here on my forearm, and they saw it. And man, I thought I was done for. I remember I had my phone in my hand. I was getting ready to text my wife, like, I think I'm going to get my ass kicked. And it turned out though, like they were giving me a little crap, but I gave it right back to them, and we had a great time. And, but you can boo somebody that the person next to you likes, and vice versa. For instance, John Cena, there's still people that don't care for him.
Right.
You boo him, the guy next to you might be cheering him. You guys still get along because in the end, we all know it's entertainment. And that's what separates it from I think professional or college sports, is because I look at sports nowadays almost as a gang mentality.
Right.
I don't go. I cover sports for. I used to be a sports writer, so I still covered the Blues and Mizzou football and stuff. But I don't like to go to sporting events anymore because there's always fights because people are arguing with each other and throwing punches over a team of athletes who probably don't give two craps about anybody in that stadium, to be honest. I mean, I've been around enough pro athletes to interview them. Most of them are jerks. They're pompous, arrogant jerks.
Right.
And not all of them, but a good majority. And wrestlers, they are a little more fan friendly. You can say hi to them and they'll, talk to you. Same with like UFC fighters. It's the same thing. And I think that's just a camaraderie they have because they all know they're putting their bodies on the line and they have to protect each other. And the fans realize that too. Like I respect guys who may not be the most popular, but I know that they take care of the other guys in the ring. That's a big deal to me.
Yeah, I found that as well, that many of the wrestlers are a little bit more grounded and very much in touch with their connection with the fans. It's only been a handful of wrestlers that I've met that came off very brash and just unable to connect or didn't want to connect with the fans. They just looked at us as the green and that was it. Nothing more, nothing less.
Right.
But being a fan, I've always said that, there's not quite an experience of being at a WrestleMania or being at an event where you can just feel that connection with everybody else and everybody's just getting into that role, feeling the heat, getting that the momentum going when the wrestlers are in the ring. I guess hulking it up, as they would say, or moving, getting through a match. You being from the Midwest, though, that's a big wrestling part of the country. I mean, there was a lot of big wrestling coming up during that time. Were you able to see other promotions like an NWA or AWA during that time?
I did see NWA. AWA did not. I watched it on TV occasionally. But yeah, NWA I saw. WCW would roll through here and I'd go to those shows. I never saw an ECW show. I think they rolled through St. Louis one time, and I rarely watched them, to be honest with you, until I got older. I didn't have a whole lot of time to watch wrestling like I do now. It seems like I have more time to watch it now. I can make the time now. Back then, I was on either practice or homework or my parents' schedule, so it was a little harder. Monday nights, I was always able to watch. Nowadays, Mondays, Fridays, Tuesdays, I'll tune in occasionally on Wednesdays, but that product's been so bad here lately, I can't stand to watch it. So I hate to say it because I was all excited about it when it first came out, but anymore, I can hardly waste the Wednesday night sitting there watching it.
What do you think happened? I know, and that's a lot of times where, I've conformed with the idea to say, you know what, whatever I invested in with this company when it started 5 years ago, whatever I put in to believe, just went out the window maybe 2.5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm looking at it as, you know what? I'm just watching it for the matches now. It means nothing else. What do you think just happened? What was the turn that happened?
I think you have an owner that, let's face it, is a Nepo baby.
Mm-hmm.
He loves it, which is great, but we are seeing what he wants to put out there that he likes. I don't think he's in touch with the normal fan. He has a roster that, I'll tell you, it's better than WWE's. If you talk about legit star power.
Right.
There's no reason they should only be getting 1,500, 2,000 people on a Wednesday night to shows with the stars they got.
Right.
I'll be honest, when they come to St. Louis, I usually will go as media and shoot photos. And they had the one of their pay-per-views here last, was it April maybe? It was the one where Swerve won the title.
Okay.
And I will tell you, man, hands down, the best wrestling show I have ever seen, ever. And that's counting for 4 WrestleManias I've attended, SummerSlams, Rumbles. The best wrestling show I have ever seen as far as pure entertaining wrestling. But you tune in the next Wednesday and they crap it all away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because he does not know how to write a show that flows, which is a shame because he has people around him that could help him. JR, I think, would be a great mind to work with. I just think he does it all himself. I don't think he has enough talented writers. I think he might have, whoever writes it, if it's not him, I think they're, yes sir people. So whatever he says, they do. They don't come up with any creative or new ideas. And I think that's really it. I mean, they just don't have consistent storylines. They don't know how to do long-term storytelling. They're more concerned with spotty, flippity-floppity wrestling, which there's nothing wrong with that. There's places for it. Okay. I love Will Ospreay, but give me a promo. Give me something that draws me in other than jumping off the rafters.
Right.
Because like I tuned into a show on a Wednesday night here not that long ago, and it was when they were starting the feud with him, Omega, and another tag team. And they got him and Omega jumping off, way up on these metal rafters, literally doing backflips on a Wednesday night in front of 1,500 people. What for? What is that proving? What are they doing with that? And the answer was nothing.
Right.
You got these two guys that if they are an inch off, they break their necks, they're dead. And you're still letting them do that for nothing, for no pay-per-view money, nothing. It just doesn't make sense. And that's my big issue with them is, he's got these guys that he's pushing who, I hate to say it, Hangman Page, in my estimation, is a mid-carder at best. And you're trying to elevate him again, and you're letting a guy like Swerve Strickland not get a push now. It's just, it's a shame because I look at what Swerve could have been in WWE and what he was for a while in AEW, and now he's relegated to hardly nothing, and it's a shame. And I know they're getting paid handsomely, so they probably are fine with it. I don't know. No one's really come out and spoke out like you would hear in WWE. So it's hard to say. I was just talking to a buddy about this, about like the Shield, the 3 guys of the Shield. And I said, if you would have asked me 6 years ago who the best guy in the Shield was, I would have probably said it was Ambrose.
Yeah. I was a huge Ambrose fan myself. Yeah.
Now I'd say Mox is the weakest link of that Shield group.
Mm-hmm.
He's just not, there's nothing to him that he's going to go out there and get busted open and bleed every night. Okay. That's
1,001 odds. 1,001 odds. You could take that bet. He's going to bleed.
Yeah. So it's a shame because he really does have talented guys, but there's no leadership. And it reminds me a lot of WCW toward the end.
Yeah.
Just things going everywhere. Great matches because, you could always rely on Mysterio and Jericho and Malenko and even an old Flair to come in and put on a banger. Same with AEW. Yeah, you're going to get great matches because they got great athletes, but there's no story there. So I think that's the biggest pitfall they have.
We're here speaking with the author For the Love of the Show and upcoming For the Love of the Show 2. More stories from pro wrestling fans. We're talking to Dr. Jeremy Housewright. What is it that you found with the differences between the fan bases when it came to promotion, each promotion? You have the hardcore fans who are, like us, who watch everything, but then you have those who are the loyalists, the WWEers, the AEWers. Like, what is the difference when it comes to them and they're gaining an understanding of, or trying to understand why they just support one over the other?
I think the AEW fans, and I mean no offense to them, but I feel like they allow WWE to live rent free in their minds. I was at the first All In Chicago, which again, fantastic wrestling show. And after that show, I was so amped up for the future. I'm like, finally, somebody's going to rival WWE. I literally thought that when AEW was first starting, I'm like, all right, we're going to have another wrestling war. And it just never happened. But WWE fans are very, at least a lot of them, they're young. A lot of them are younger now. And they don't know about a lot of other wrestling companies. So, they may know of AEW, but they don't watch it. I've asked so many young wrestling fans, you watch AEW? And like, no, it's boring. Okay. And it's because they like the storylines. They like the entertainment aspect. Hey, where else can you see Travis Scott walk down the aisle smoking a joint?
Right.
And he's going to be at Elimination Chamber. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I feel the same way too. When I try to explain it to the casuals and such, I tell them, I says, I think the framework in which Tony Khan is working with is the New Japan look. Let's just put together great matches. Japan doesn't really care about storylines. They'll be shocked and awe while during their press conferences and such like that. But when it comes to real storylines, they're just there for the matches. And I think that's why I said that's what I'm taking out of AEW this day.
Yeah.
Being in the American fan base, we're used to stories. Why are we invested in, these Netflix series? Why are we invested in the MCU or, these diverse, comics or just anything that really has a continuum, because we love to see what's going to happen next. Like you said, AEW has a great roster, athletic as hell. They could, do whatever, but it's almost as though like they don't want to give them personality. And I think that's what it is with WWE, that they give everybody a moment and an opportunity to have a personality.
Yes, that's a big thing because you can relate to them.
Mm-hmm.
I could relate to Bray Wyatt. I could relate to Kevin Owens. There's no one on AEW's roster that I could say I relate to because I don't know anything about any of them other than the ones that came from WWE.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I thought right now, the way that wrestling is going, and especially with the little promotion that just won't die, TNA, they're just now they've gotten themselves back in the saddle. Even with that WWE NXT push that's happening. Mm-hmm. What about that? How have you touched base with that fan base? They're very, very loyal fan base. I mean, they've been with them thick through thin. I mean, they're the company that they always said if a nuclear missile hits and warhead drops, that company will still survive with the roaches. Have you spoken with the TNA loyalists?
Yeah, they're they're an interesting group. I respect the fact that they just keep plugging along, and the product is good. It really is. I try to tune in as much as possible. If not, then I catch highlights. I was really interested with this merger or deal they got with WWE now. I think it's great for both companies, especially TNA. I think it's going to get them out to a wider audience and get more people knowing about them. They have some great talent over there. Jordan Grace, who is now over in WWE, but she's awesome. And I was happy that even though she's controversial, I was happy they brought back Blanchard, because I think she is one of the most talented women wrestlers in the business. Mm-hmm. But if she can overcome the controversy, I could see her being in WWE. I really could. I think there's a lot of money on the table between her and Charlotte Flair if they were to have a match. Because, you have the history of both their fathers. So, I mean, that just writes itself. So why would you not want to try to see if she can get a strong following and then bring her over for a match? I think it makes sense. In fact, I really thought she was going to show up at the Rumble. I thought it would have made a lot of sense just to have her get eliminated and then walk down the aisle as Charlotte was coming in and just have a little stare down.
Okay.
There's your storyline right there for WrestleMania or whenever the heck they want to do it. There's some other young talent over there. Who have I talked to? Speedball Bailey. I don't know is he still over there? I'm not even.
No, I believe that he's about to get signed. He's signing with AEW. That's
okay.
He was done there.
Okay, and then
I've spoken with Speedball before. Interesting guy. He's an interesting guy.
One.
Yeah,
PCO is another one. Yeah, they and now the Hardys are over there. So I think it's great. I think it gives the WWE a chance to maybe move some of their roster over there to get them guys some more work, which is always a positive thing. And it gives the NXT guys maybe a chance to maybe go over there and work, or vice versa. So you can merge both shows if you want, have maybe some type of invasion go on or something like that. There's a lot of possibilities with it. But yeah, the TNA fans, man, they're a rare breed. I mean, they've stuck with that company thick and thin, and I've attended a couple shows during the thin times, and I tell you what, it was rough.
I've seen certain shows, and I understand why they always kept it a little darkly, dimly lit. That they kept the house lights down, but they were able to make it through. I got to give it to them for that. Speaking of making it through, how do you think the fans' input or their feeling and sense of what's going on with wrestling affects what changes promotions do for their storylines and angles? Fans are very boisterous. We saw what happened with Daniel Bryan with the Yes Movement. We could even say that what's happening now with Jey Uso with his push right now. How influential do you feel that the fans are these days, and do you believe that the promotions are listening? Because social media has been now a barometer for where I believe a lot of promotions are looking at. They're checking that out more. So, how important has the fans been?
I like to say they are important, but I think if you get right down to it, it's the mighty dollar that's important. And if the fans are going to spend their money, then the companies are going to listen. So you mentioned Jey Uso. I've been talking about him nonstop because I just don't have a good feeling if they put a title on him. I don't see him having a long reign at all. I get why they're pushing him. His entrance is the big reason. I mean, he is so over when he comes out with, especially the young fans. I personally don't get the whole yeet thing, but I think it's cool. It's very cool to see in an arena when he comes out, everybody doing it. But if you really get down to it, him as a character on his own, I don't think he's got the longevity to be a top tier star. And I personally would like to see the whole Uso tag team reunite and do something with that, because together I think that they are the best versions of themselves. Individually, I mean, you can see his brother, he's struggling. I mean, I just feel like they don't have anything for him. They don't know what to do with him. And I feel like that's what's going to happen with Jay once the infatuation with this entrance dies down. I mean, Daniel Bryan's the perfect example, and I love Daniel Bryan and Bryan Danielson. He's one of the best pure wrestlers I've ever seen. But character-wise, he is not someone that I would make the face of a multi-billion-dollar company. And I feel that way about Jey Uso as well. I feel like there's been, like, if you go, and I don't read too much into the internet wrestling community, but I have heard a lot about he is not very approachable and friendly away from the ring. And if you are the champion of a company, you have to be able to do that. You know, look at Cody. I mean,
oh, please, the modern day Hogan,
and,
the modern day Hogan.
Yeah, that's what you need in the WWE today, and I don't think Jey Uso is that. Now, could he have a month or two reign? Yeah, I have no problem with that. I think if you use it, if he gets the title, we don't even know if he will, but I have a good idea he will. If he gets the title, you have to use that to elevate someone else that he'll put over. So I almost look at him as a transition champion if he gets the title. I just don't see him as being a long-term hot commodity for WWE. I just don't see it. I don't see anything. His ring work is, and I hate criticizing wrestlers because I couldn't do anything that they do.
Right.
But you look at some of the guys they got. Jey Uso is not as great in the ring as a lot of the guys they got. I don't think. You know, I mean, he just doesn't appeal to me. Now, the money is with the younger crowd. I get that. So obviously, push him. I have no issue. Like there were WWE fans legit mad that he won the Rumble. And I had no issue with him winning it. I really didn't.
Neither did I.
I think it's refreshing to see something different. The only thing I have an issue with is the way they are having Gunther become like this ultra heel and almost like bully him. Well, he is bullying him. I mean,
well, yeah, generally, yeah.
That's not Gunther. I mean, let's face it, Gunther won over fans because he's just a great old school type wrestler.
Right.
He's never really been a bully, and now all of a sudden you're having him play the bully because Jey Uso is not a great face. You know, he's a one-trick pony in my eyes. The entrance. You take away the entrance, would he be anywhere near where he is right now?
Yeah. I feel the same. The only bullying that Gunther ever did was in the ring. That's all he did.
Right.
That's where the bullying was at.
Yes.
It's the feel-good story of the year.
Yeah.
And it's going to be either one or two. It's either going to be that, or if there's any way that we're going to see Cena be a part of the main event at Mania. And speaking of Cena, what's your thoughts of the fans, just the change that they've made with Cena through the years?
Yeah.
I mean, we all, you know, Cena sucks, the chants and all. And, you know, the past couple of years, it's just been a resounding praise for him. What do you think happened? What clicked with the fan base?
I think that, and I can speak for myself. I was in St. Louis the night he was drafted to Raw, and he came out in the Spirit of St. Louis basketball jersey. I love that version. I love the thugonomics. I mean, I thought it was hilarious. It was funny. I thought it was entertaining as hell. But there came a point when I just got tired of him. And I was one of them guys chanting Cena sucks because he was just rammed down our throats constantly. And I get it. At that point in time, the WWE really didn't have anyone else to take the ball and run as the face of the company. I mean, maybe The Undertaker, but I don't know. I'd say as far as mainstream, though, Cena was that guy. He just had the charisma that nobody else had. But I think people realized when he left, and I did too, how much I missed him. How much I missed the stupid T-shirts that he wore and the jorts and, you know, all that. And I realized how much he gave to that company. And I respect the hell out of him. I think he is, if I'm making a Mount Rushmore of greatest WWE performers, he's definitely on it. There's no doubt. I mean, the money that he's brought in, I would say it probably rivals what Hogan did back in the day. I mean, because
or maybe even more. Yeah, maybe more.
The kids loved him, and that's where the money's at with the little kids. And so I get it why he was pushed so much. Now, I find myself rooting for him all the time because I'm 43. He's practically the same age. I know what it's like to get older and start to lose a step and see the younger guys doing what you used to do, except maybe doing it even better. So I love that they're playing into that, and that, he is just giving it one last shot. And I think it's brilliant. And I hope when he's finally done, when he walks away, that people give him the proper due that he should have, because he's earned every bit of it. And, he's definitely one of the greatest of all time.
Listen, this is a guy who's just as loyal to the company as Undertaker was and is. And even probably even more, because he didn't come from anywhere else. He was a tried and true WWE guy and was with it for that greatest of runs.
Yeah.
And it's great to see, as they say these days, that he's getting his flowers for what's going on. And I'm glad to see it from him. And this is going to be one hell of a year. And I hope he goes out. I hope he breaks that title, the record, record, quote unquote.
Yeah.
And I would like to see the great matches that he's gonna be able to put together with that. Before I let you go, I'm very much interested in. So this is your second book of the series.
Yes.
What was the main draw for you to actually begin the first book? Like what became the main idea for you to say, I would like to get, put down what the fans' thoughts of the business is and what their feelings are?
It all started with me traveling to different shows around the country, whether that be WrestleManias or whatever it may be. A couple friends that I've grown up with or known for 15 years or so, we would go to different shows, and along the way we met different people from all over the US and even Canada, and we've just become lifelong friends with them. The one guy literally I met at Mania in Orlando, and he's from somewhere in Canada, way north, like off like an Indian reservation or something. And we became best friends, and like a week later he came and he stayed at my house. He travels to these shows by himself, and so I took him to a Kansas City Chiefs game and all that, and he came and he stayed in St. Louis for a few days. But we've just become lifelong friends, and through that I started thinking about all the different fans and friends that I've made over the years because of pro wrestling. And I thought, there's got to be other people out there who love wrestling, who have really cool stories to tell about what wrestling means to them. So that was my basis for the first book. Half of the first book was my story, just the crazy stuff we got into going on these trips. Like I booked this at a hotel where they were literally cooking meth on our floor when we got there. So that was in Orlando.
Sounds fun.
Just meeting different characters throughout the years, and then I found a couple people, I think 6 people from the first book, with different stories about how pro wrestling had changed their life for the better. And, with the second book, I hadn't planned on writing another wrestling theme book. I just felt like I'm not a big fan of sequels, period. So I'm like, sequels are always lame, for the most part. I mean, unless it's like Superman 2 or something like that, it's just
Don't tell anybody who enjoys Godfather 2 that. Do not tell anybody.
No. Godfather 2. No, don't get me wrong. Godfather 2 is a classic. That's better than Godfather. But for the most part, sequels just are kind of always a letdown. So I'm like, I really don't want to do it. But I had a lot of fans reaching out, and there was one story that I really wanted to put in the first book that I did not get to because of time constraints. And now the group, they'll be in the second book, but they've kind of blown up. The wrestling club, they're a group of kids from New York.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't get with their teacher, Victor Perry, in time to get it in the first book. So I had interviewed him, and I'm like, well, I'll just write an article and put it on my website and run it from there. And then I'm like, well, he's got a great story. And me being an educator, I know what he is doing is a labor of love. I mean, those kids in inner city Brooklyn, they could be out doing God knows what.
Right.
Robbing, stealing, killing, selling drugs, doing drugs. I've seen it firsthand here in St. Louis working in inner city schools. As a coach, I know for a fact, I've been told by some of my players that I saved their lives. So I'm like, what he is doing, besides wrestling, it's almost like God's work. That's what I consider it. And I thought, you know what, if I'm going to do this, I want these stories to be even more special. I want them to be life-changing, not just, I love wrestling and it's done great things for me, blah, blah, blah. I have a lady that I interviewed who is currently fighting stage 4 cancer, and she loves Kevin Owens. And he literally, there's video of it. You may have seen it. He literally went up into the crowd and hugged her.
Yeah.
Just stories like that. As someone whose father passed from cancer 20 years ago, I was in tears. I remember I texted my wife. I was at school typing up the last chapter, which is Emily's chapter, and I was crying because I'm like, this hits. This hits me in the heart, man. Anyone who's ever lost somebody due to cancer will immediately resonate with this story.
Yeah.
And then Victor, anyone who's been a teacher or anyone who's had a teacher who had an impact. In 8th grade, I met my 8th grade history teacher who became the best man in my wedding years later. We're still best friends 30 years later. It's like teachers can have that sort of an impact on people. And if you've ever had a teacher that's done that for you, that story will resonate with you. Another guy I talked to, he actually is from the UK, and he actually motivated me because when I talked to him last year, he had lost a bunch of weight doing DDP yoga, and he actually inspired me to finally get off of my rear end. I'm down 135 pounds now.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And but what's cool about his story is he created a relationship with DDP where DDP would actually call him and check up on him. And just things like that. It's like, I wanted to go for the more human side of the business. Like, we all love pro wrestling, but there are some stories out there that I think just will not just touch wrestling fans, but I think fans of anything. I mean, people from all walks of life could resonate with these stories. You may not have ever watched wrestling, but if you pick up this book and look at some of these stories, you'll enjoy it. I really think that. And that's kind of what I'm going for with the second book. So I kind of made it a personal challenge to myself to tell stories about perseverance and fighting to save your life and fighting to achieve goals, so that's kind of what the second book is about. It's more, I wanted to motivate people, because I've been there. I was that guy who was down and out. You know, I would just come home from work and I'd sit on my rear end and watch TV and eat crap. And Nick motivated me. And I want this book to be able to motivate people, be like, you know what? Yeah, my life's kind of, you know, sucky right now. You know, my job sucks. I hate my boss. But you know what? I got all these other great things in life to be thankful for and to be grateful for and to keep going. So that's, you know, you talk to somebody like Emily who's fighting stage 4 cancer, and her outlook is so positive. It's like, I don't know how I could deal with that, you know, knowing, especially, you know, she's got a kid, she's married. It's like, man, that's a tough pill to swallow. And she's taking it in stride. And, you know, Kevin Owens has meant a lot to her. You know, just his character alone is something that she looks at. You know, the Owens fight theme is what she has built her cancer fight on, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember not too long ago I was at a wrestling event and I saw the wrestling club. They were there. Mm-hmm. I'm from New York City. I lived in Brooklyn for many years, and one of the promoters out here invited them to an event, and it was a beautiful thing to see, because I said, wow, I wish that was around when I came up. You know, I had my friends, and some of them weren't big wrestling fans. You know, they're not like me, but you know, some of them would be around, but to have that kind of camaraderie, that the unity you have at that age and such, and it's okay that people can sit around and say, hey, listen, you know, we're fans. This is, you know, it's cool. This is our thing. Speaking of which, do you go to indie shows? Are you able to connect with the indie fan base?
I do. Yeah. We have a couple groups here in St. Louis. Well, we have a lot of different indie groups here in St. Louis. We got MMWA. Mm-hmm. And a promoter named Herb Simmons is actually putting together Legends Fest 3 this summer, and that's May 17th when the book is going to drop. Is actually going to be there, because I did a signing at Legends Fest 2 last year, and it went well. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to release the book that day. It won't be online that day, so the only place people will be able to get it is at Legends Fest 3, and eventually it's going to go online. I mean, I'm not a fool. I know that's where to make the money at is online, but I want to do a lot more in-person signings for this one. I feel like the few signings that I did last year were very fun. I like connecting with some of the wrestling fans I've never met, especially at the indie shows, because there's a lot of fans that I've never met from St. Louis, and you know, just getting to talk to them and hear their stories is pretty darn cool. So yeah, I've been to a few indie shows this year here in town, and I think one of the most recent ones I was at was actually over in Illinois. I'm real close to Illinois. I'm like half hour. Actually, that's where I'm from originally, in Columbia, Illinois. But they had they got a wrestling group that puts on a show once a month on Friday nights. And they had Sami Callihan there and Mance Warner for a show.
Oh, that's a card.
Dude, my mom was, because it was at a Turner Hall. That's where they do it. And my mom works at the Turner Hall with the Women's League. They make the fried chicken for people there.
Right.
And she's like, that show was so fun. And she doesn't even like wrestling. Like, she's like, it was a blast. Those people were going crazy. I'm like, well, yeah, Sami Callihan, like, people hate him. You know?
But a really nice, cool. Really nice guy. Really nice guy.
He stood around and talked to us, you know, between matches and stuff. And I asked him some questions about, you know, working with certain performers. So he was very cool. I gave him a copy of the book because he said he didn't have anything to read flying home. So I gave him a copy, and it was fun, you know? So yeah, the indie shows to me, I used to not be an indie fan at all. I never got into it. And then a buddy took me to a show, and I'm like, these people are crazy. Like, they really are. I mean, and it's like
it's unspecial. It's unspecial.
Yeah, they know the performers personally, a lot of them. So, I mean, some of these guys, they're hollering all sorts of stuff at them. I mean, you got old grandmas in the crowd hollering at people. dude, it's awesome. So
I'm that guy.
Yeah.
I'm that guy.
See, I'm very quiet and reserved, but I just sit back and watch everything. You know?
I'm that guy. I'm that guy when the promoter comes and is like, "Would you quiet down?" I'm like, but you know what? Thank you for your time, man. This is it's amazing. And once again, we'll have to do it down the line. May 17th is when the book drops, right?
Yes.
I'm really excited for this. I want to get the first book. I really stopped reading after a while. I'm more into like people read to me.
Well, I'll tell you, this book, the one of the biggest compliments I got about the first book, and this is kind of funny because, you know, I wrote a 100-page dissertation for my doctorate and all that. So, and being a journalist for 20 years, I consider myself a pretty strong writer. I got a buddy who's not one of the smartest guys in the world by any means. He laughs about himself all the time because he never even got a GED. But he calls me up like a week after the book came out and he goes, "Man, I read your whole book. That's the first book I've read in 20 years, man." He goes, "It was the easiest read ever. If I can read it, anybody can read it."
Yeah. For me, it's more like I've done so much reading and writing through my years. It's like I'm okay to be lullabied. They can read me the book. I'm okay with listening to audiobooks. So, but I will pick this up because I really need to connect with other people and other audience who don't really, you know, for those who don't understand what the fandom is with us and how we connect and what it means to us. But once again, let everybody know where they could connect to you. What's your socials and how they'll get the previous book and how to get the new book coming out.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, and I do have an X account, Twitter X, whatever they call it nowadays. Dr. Jeremy Michael Housewright, I believe, is my Facebook one. Dr. Jeremy Housewright is Instagram, and you can find me there. You can find me. I'm rebuilding my website, jeremyhousewright.com, which the book will be available on as well. And you can also get the first book right now on Amazon. And the second book will go on Amazon eventually. So yeah, that's where people can find me.
And thanks again for your time. And for everybody, make sure that you guys get all those links. We'll be putting it up on our page as well to make sure that you get those links. Connect with Dr. Housewright and the wrestling fandom as well. And don't go anywhere, stick around. Much to talk about, as always. And ladies and gentlemen, see you guys in a second.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff.
Turnbuckle Tabloid.